Hello gang, I am going to be back doing some YouTube work, and I'm not going to overproduce. I'm going to be very just kind of doing stuff like this. Uh, going to be focusing on some gut health stuff. I'm actually going to call this the Candida Chronicles, because beneath the surface I've realized for years I've had a Candida, aka fungal infection, aka yeast infection in my gut, probably a little close to my small intestinal area is where I think it likes to grow from. And it's been a long journey, and so I'm just sharing this to, one, it's a very hard thing to even diagnose and figure out, and two, if it's a very significant Candida buildup, a lot of people struggle to actually kill it. I mean, your bacteria, you're not your bacteria, but the fungus in your gut, the microbes and the microbiome like to find a balance. But if you've had things like, for me, I had a staph infection is what caused it for me, and a lot of antibiotic usage growing up, which, looking back, I always had chronic sinus infections. Well, if you have chronic sinus infections, a lot of times that could be an indicator of your gut microbiome being off, causing chronic sinus infections. That kind of gut connection and how it impacts you up here, that's kind of one and the same. That's stuff I'm going to get to over time. Just want to introduce that this is going to be a thing for me to continually talk about, share my journey. I'm not giving medical advice. That's not the plan. I'm going to share what I'm doing and how it's impacting me. I'm also going to use this kind of as a journal for my symptoms and my progress, because I'm kind of headfirst into this. I've worked on killing this for about a year and a half, close year to year and a half. And it's just, there's a lot of work that goes into it, because die-off symptoms, when you start to kill the Candida, that's a buildup of yeast essentially. So if you eat flour, processed sugar, alcohol, things of that nature, it builds up. Now, why does that happen to everybody? Everybody's got low-level yeast buildup. That's just the way it is. But it's when you get disrupted down there from antibiotic usage, a staph infection. Another note, when you actually isolate staph in the body, okay, a co-isolate is Candida albicans, for example, which is the main form of Candida that people get infected with. And so when you got one, you kind of got the other. And then if you're feeding it with dietary things, and that's where people get, the gluten sensitive, we shall say, or just carb sensitive in general, because it's feeding the yeast, okay? And so that's where I'm going to be sharing a lot of what I'm doing on a probiotic level, what I'm doing with coconut oil based extracts, caprylic acid and monolaurin, or also called luracidine, even pharmaceutical stuff like fluconazole, and some doTERRA supplements. I'm going to go into all these and kind of do some reviews, but for now, just kind of opening up my journey with this, and it's been probably 4 to even 5 years, 5 years that I've had issues surrounding this, and it took me a long time to actually figure out what it was. And so it manifested, obviously I've had low back issues, and then, my low back would hurt more in my early 20s, and then it got to the point where I was dealing with a lot of systemic inflammation, like joints everywhere. I'm like, well, maybe I'm just overtrained, and so I'm doing all the right mobility work, and getting me nowhere at all, just completely just like, it's useless. And I'm like, well, maybe it's a gut thing. So I got gluten-free, and that helped. It did help a lot. I still wasn't getting over the hump. And then progressively, symptoms actually kind of got worse, hit ahead. I didn't realize how much nausea I was dealing with. Just my motility was off, just down there, just something wasn't right. It's still not fully correct. But then just talking to very schooled physical therapists up in New York City, he's a master of his craft, Fabian Garcia, Paul Chek's book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, realizing that, hey, a good majority of gut issues can get cleared up by treating it as a fungal infection, even if you don't have one. If you treat it as such, which is, very good, clean proteins, right amount of veggies, not a lot of fruit, really keeping it very kind of paleo diet-ish, to where you're not feeding the Candida, basically, and putting yourself in a position to actually kill it. That's the idea. But if you've had something that's accumulated over years, which for me, based on my own anecdotal evidence, there's not a lot of really good markers, and you got to spend a lot of money to really figure out some of the actual blood markers, and even little mycotoxins that are kind of built up in the body from this. So I'm just treating it as hey, this is what it is, and we're going from there. And I get to that point of that Candida die-off, several times, but man, it's hard to get through, because it really puts you in, depending on the person, it could be a combination of flu-like symptoms or strong allergy-based symptoms, which for me, I get that into the spectrum. Very strong histamine response. So you get itchy, scratchy, dry eyes, real scratchy throat. Kind of then makes you feel asthmatic for me. And also too, scattered thoughts. It feels like a keto flu. Like when you're switching over to burning fats, you have trouble. For me, I have trouble organizing thought, task, coaching people. And so when I'm dying off, it's really tough. And so probably maybe need to take time off work to kill it, but I'm just not in a position to just stop what I'm doing for a week, 2 weeks, however long it would take. So I've been trying to do a slow kill, which I think is the best way to actually really create just a nice environment down there in the gut. Gut health is one of those things that it kind of becomes intuitive and you start to get a feel for it over time. And I'm not perfect by any means, but that's why I'm focusing on this, because it has probably been the biggest weak link in my system for a long time. And it's impacted my physical, my mental, even spiritual. And so that's what this is going to be about for me. I started this channel, I started sharing my journey and getting into the mobility stuff because I was trying to heal my back and make my body feel good and be able to go do fun activities and not have to go warm up for freaking 30 minutes to feel decent. That's my story, if you followed along the way. And so it's going to continue that. Today's just an introduction, and I really truly hope that if you've had underlying gut issues, that this can actually somehow help you in some way, shape, or form. That is my goal. That is my intention. And, so feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I'm not a master of this at all. I'm only learning and continue to learn about this because it's impacted me. But, I draw from the smartest people that I can so I can be effective at helping myself here. And I hate to say it, I'm kind of a guinea pig with everything that I do and teach. So it's like, I might go through more trials and tribulations doing it than maybe someone else, because I'm kind of a mad scientist with this stuff. So it's kind of fun, but also kind of sucks because it makes me not feel good dealing with this. So plan to share it, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, whatever, take care.